And here's what we'll be going through today. It's going to zoom by really quick, ladies and gentlemen. We are going through a lot of the basics today in terms of setting up and launching Fin. And then I'll be showing you a live demo of what's going to look like within your workspace. So if you have your Intercom workspace open already, feel free to follow along. Otherwise, you can let me do all the clicking. It's totally okay. So let's dive into Fin. Whether you're new to Fin, have trialed Fin in the past, or are currently using Fin, there are many reasons Fin can help your team become more efficient and effective. You'll be able to dramatically reduce your support volume. On average, we see at least 50% resolution rate with our customers. And then with Fin 2, with all these new features, we're boasting up to 82% in terms of the new features that Fin's going to be able to help you resolve issues with. So it's going to leave you and your team with more time to work on more time-intensive initiatives. What's also great is that Fin learns from the information that you provided. So it's going to allow you to tailor the information that you'll be providing to your audiences. You can choose which audiences get what kind of info. And of course, you'll be able to continue improving it along the way. Just like our platform, Fin is easily activated. So all you need to do is add it to your workflows or use a simple setup and sync it with your information all within minutes. And lastly, Fin is multilingual. So it's going to allow you to provide Fin information in languages for all of your customers. And it's going to be able to recognize the language of the end user and continue the conversation in that language as well. We'll get more into that later. You'll hear automation being thrown around a lot at Intercom. But really, there are three main uses, and we'll go through those right now. So when we talk about automation, we'll be talking about these three main factors. So AI answers by Fin, custom answers by Fin, and then simple workflows. At the bottom, you'll see what we used to call them at Intercom. And then on top of custom answers, ML, that stands for machine learning. And we'll talk about that a bit later as well. But when we're talking about true AI using language learning models, those are going to be the AI answers provided by Fin AI Agent, which we're going to dive deeply into today. So while we go through adding Fin into your workflows, in this series today, we'll be covering the two that fall under Fin AI, which is the AI answers and also custom answers. So you're preparing to launch Fin. Let's go through what that looks like. So whenever we talk about launch, we have to start from the knowledge, resources, and what information does Fin necessarily pull from, right? So like I said earlier, Fin only learns from the content that you provide it. And there are a bunch of different content sources you can feed it to learn to provide correct answers to your customers. So this can be connecting Fin to your Intercom Help Center. You can sync it by providing a URL for external support content. You can upload PDFs of material and content, for example, like an instruction manual for a device of some sort. Snippets are just like short form text or short bits of information that Fin can learn from. And then custom answers, which allow you to provide specific answers to certain questions that Fin will try to detect from the customer. So I always like to say, Fin is only as powerful as the information that you provide it. So Fin constructs answers using only the most relevant information from multiple knowledge sources, allowing it to create more comprehensive responses and enhancing its ability to solve complex questions. And I just want to show you what each of these knowledge sources would look like. So an easy way to update Fin is through your Intercom Help Center articles. In fact, I think that's one of the strongest types of knowledge source you can provide to Fin. So as you add or update these articles, Fin will also automatically update alongside them and be able to provide the most up-to-date information for your customers. So when you're creating or updating your Help Center articles, it's always important to keep Fin in mind. So we recommend talking with any customer-facing roles to see things like what are the most common and easily answered questions that you get from your customers, or what are some overarching patterns you notice in your conversation history. We think that's a great first step that you can take in order to save a lot of time that your team typically spends on answering simple questions that could be easily answered by Fin within seconds. After that, take a look at any FAQs you already have or macros you've created. If they're already created, it's easy to provide that information for Fin to use right away. So while you're going through these articles in your help center, you want to be making sure that the content is optimized for Fin to use. The more simple, straightforward, and comprehensive your articles are, the easier it's going to be for Fin, as well as agents and humans to consume them. If it's confusing for a human to read, it's also going to be confusing for Fin to read as well. So focus on the following when creating your help center content for Fin. When we talk about simplifying language, think about how your users typically frame questions and ensure that the answer is worded in a relevant and accessible way. So when we talk about this, avoid basic yes or no answers. Instead, I know it sounds very straightforward, but use full sentences to disambiguate the answer for Fin. And when we talk about a scannable structure, we want to be able to use rich formatting like headings, tables, bullet points. This makes it easier for Fin to scan and pinpoint, retrieve the answer your customer or teammate is looking for. And also, just think about who the content is aimed at as well. So if you have a variety of user types and your support content differs for each one, ensure that each piece of content includes a clear reference to the type of user the content is geared towards. You can use audience rules to target content at specific customer segments with Fin AI Agent, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. As well, you want to make sure that you are linking up with the product experts to make sure that you are simplifying industry or product specific language. So writing out any acronyms alongside the acronym or providing the full sentence to answers and FAQs instead of one-word answers to give Fin a better idea how to pull that information. Regarding typos or misspelled words, Fin is capable of understanding and detecting questions even when there are minor grammatical mistakes, so no need to worry about that. Once you've successfully had Fin ingest all of your knowledge content, it's going to live in what we call the Knowledge Hub, which is going to be your central repository for all support content powering your help center and your agents, so both human and AI. As your business continues to change and develop, Fin is always going to have access to the latest information to best serve your customers. So from the Knowledge Hub, you can organize content into folders for easy internal navigation and toggle content on or off for use by Copilot and AI agent independent of each other. Coming soon, you'll also have the space to optimize your content based on previous conversations, including AI-powered insights and recommendations in terms of recommended sources or recommended content that Fin thinks your customers can make use of. What is a snippet? Like I said earlier, another content source that is easy and quick to add. It's unpublished content, so it can provide quick information to Fin's AI answers. So instead of full article, snippets are helpful as they're quick sources of information that don't need to be formatted to be customer facing. So it's simply little pieces of text that you're feeding into Fin as a knowledge resource. So here are some general use cases for snippets that may apply to you and your business. Snippets are ideal if you want to add a short piece of information such as an FAQ or time-sensitive notice and make this information available to Fin to serve to your customers right away. So an easy example I always use is, let's say, like a recent update or patch that's been applied to your software, your program perhaps. Instead of having to write out a full article, perhaps just reference, let's say, the number of, I don't know, potential error code that customers might encounter. Fin's going to be able to detect that when customers ask about it and be able to provide a response in terms of what they should expect and what the issue resolution is. We also have the option for human agents to be prompted to add snippets from answers they provide to customers as they chat. So if this is turned on, you can choose which teammates have the ability to add snippets from their responses, making sure that only your most knowledgeable teammates can inform Fin. So if you look at the screenshot that we have on the slide right now, what I'm basically saying is that let's say high quality responses, you're going to be able to feed that content into Fin as well. And Fin's going to be able to actually learn from conversation history from your more seasoned and veteran human agents. So it's going to have the ability to look back at conversation history and be recommended, let's say, oh, this was a very powerful response. I'm going to start using that for future responses. What is a custom answer? Like I said earlier, custom answers use machine learning and are providing an answer that you feed it. So what custom answers do is that they allow you to train Fin to recognize certain questions and then provide a very bespoke answer. You'll have to train Fin in order to detect this question, which is why we use machine learning for this part. And you'll be able to provide it with a variety of different ways a question can be asked to be able to detect similar questions and then provide it the answer you want when this is asked. Along with providing a bespoke answer, you can also launch an accompanying workflow, which will allow Fin to take additional steps. So you can have Fin ask clarifying questions, collect data, tagging, assigning, and more. So you're probably wondering, when does this come into play? When would we use AI versus custom answers? The real difference between AI and custom answers are that when Fin is using AI answers, it's coming up with a response based on all of the content that you provided. However, for custom answers, Fin is recognizing a specific question you trained it on and then providing the exact response you have given it. So both AI answers and custom answers make up Fin. You can really implement both. Fin's going to be able to pull from both wherever you add Fin in. So here's a sequence of events that happens when you activate both. Fin's always going to first look to see if there's a custom answer that matches the question before turning to providing an AI answer if it can. So if Fin can't provide an answer or needs more context, it's going to let the customer know to ask a clarifying question to get the information it needs. This can happen multiple times, but Fin is eventually going to hand the conversation over to the next steps of the workflow, so the user can talk to a human agent, let's say, until their answer gets and their question gets answered. Sorry. So whether Fin is providing an AI answer or a custom answer, the customer experience remains the same. So what we do is we recommend you reserving custom answers for a small pool of common FAQs or questions that you want to have very specific wording on. So let's talk through when you should use custom answers. These are the general use cases. So mostly what you want to do is maybe for very, very nuanced or specific issues that you need absolute control over. Typically what I've seen is using custom answers when you want to override, let's say, the verbiage or the language that comes from something AI generated. So maybe you want to keep an answer very technical, very precise, for example, or if you want to reserve certain topics for human support. As well, you want to think about maybe certain instances where you want to Fin be able to detect specific questions in order to automate specific tasks, which could be tagging or assignment, like we were talking about earlier. So this is kind of the fun part. What's it going to look like when you build your new AI agent? So here we'll be customizing your bot to your company's branding and image. So this is going to make sure that the customers retain a smooth and consistent customer experience. So feel free to select a cool name and profile photo for your new AI agent. If you're feeling uninspired, you can just keep it as Fin. So from here, you'll notice two other settings you can toggle. You can modify Fin's tone of voice to match your company's brand, and then change Fin's answer length as well. So the tone of voice is a very new feature that we've added. There are really, I think, 4 different settings you can choose based off of your company's brand. You can select options like professional, friendly, humorous, and more. We may release more tones of voice. If you have any recommendations, drop them in the chat. And then you can select how long you want Fin's answers to be as well from here. So if you want Fin to provide more short and concise answers, feel free. Or if you want Fin to go on, you can do that as well. Personally, I've noticed that Fin loves to do these like chain sentences and therefore and so on. which can provide a little too much information to a customer sometimes. So feel free to select and test it out to your wishing. Yeah, you'll notice two examples on the screen right here. On the left, you'll see a more humorous setting for Fin, and on the right, a lot more professional. So, like I mentioned earlier, Fin can support up to 45 different languages based on the content that you have it ingest. So, if you enable the latest real-time translation feature, what Fin will be able to do now is translate your existing knowledge content if it can't find any relevant content in the customer's language. So, for example, for my Canadians in the chat, let's say, for example, you have English and French content. If the customer asks a question in French, Fin will first scan to see if you have any French content and then provide a response based off of that. Let's say that now the customer asks something in Italian and you have no Italian content. All you'll have to do now is toggle on the new translation feature. And that's going to enable Fin to translate your, let's say, English or French content to the end user's language. And we support up to 45 different languages. So take a look and see which ones are supported, but it should be well encompassing. And I've tested this feature out and it's really, really cool. So yeah, from here, you'll be able to select a list of options on how you want Fin to reply to customers as well, to gauge whether or not they were able to resolve the conversation or how to invite the user to connect with your human agents. You'll also have the option to set expectations for human support when configuring Fin from a workflow. And this is really reinforcing the AI human hybrid approach that we love to tout as a support model at Intercom. So this will be very helpful depending on how you'd like Fin to be set up. So you'll reduce the amount of pushback from customers when they understand the AI experience they're going to get when interacting with your AI agent. You'll want to select your language carefully to set these expectations, as well as to encourage engagement with your call to action button when prompted to open a conversation with the AI agent. So as a reminder, these settings can be found in your Messenger settings, as well as the Fin settings within the workflow builder. So when is Fin officially activated? Well, Fin only becomes live once you add it to a customer-facing workflow and once you activate that workflow. So you don't ever need to worry about accidentally setting Fin live and it becoming sentient. You'll have many opportunities to play around with the settings and test out Fin before you launch it. We'll be going through two options for Fin setup. We have the quick setup if you're short on time and want to keep things simple. But if you're looking for a more customized, robust setup, you want to go with either a new customer-facing workflow or adding Fin to an existing workflow. So let's take a look at the quick setup first. This will basically create Fin workflows on the back end without actually having to access the workflow builder based on the settings that you select from this menu here that you see on screen. So I'll run through the different settings really quickly. Target audience is going to control who's able to see and interact with the AI agent. You can add additional audience rules like tags or attributes to define different customer cohorts. You can customize how Fin AI agent is going to introduce itself. And then for reporting purposes, you can also prompt Fin to request CSAT ratings. So once you're happy with all that, all you have to do is click on Set Fin Live, and then that's it. It's going to do exactly what I just said, Set Fin Live. So it's going to set this background workflow live, and then Fin's going to be ready to start interacting with your customers. So if you're following along, you'll notice that there's two options as well. We have Set Fin Live for chat and then over email. Email is going to be a bit more limited in its Fin capabilities, but the setup screen is going to look identical otherwise. So for my workflow fellows in the chat, if you want a bit more control over the parameters and customize how Fin's going to interact with your customers, this will be more of the setup for you. So Fin is going to be available as its action within the workflow. And then if you look on the screen through the screenshot, you'll see two options. That helped, which is going to mark the conversation as resolved and automatically closed. Or you have talk to a person. So from there, you can launch a bunch of different actions, perhaps like asking qualifying answers or additional questions, for example, clarifying questions in order to get more information for your human agents, or route to, let's say, different support articles that you may have in your help center. So just like the previous screen we saw, it's going to be the same settings that you saw from the simple setup, except you're going to be doing it from a workflow. So now you're going to be able to dictate when Fin's able to appear as well. Do you want Fin to be front facing, as in like that's the first thing customers see? Or would you rather prefer Fin as a second line of defense, for example, when after you've shared some support articles to your customer? So we have templates available if you're feeling uninspired. If you have an existing workflow, for example, you can simply just add Fin as an action block, depending on where you want to start engaging with your customers. So the best workflow triggers for Fin AI Agent are the two on screen right here. It's always when the customer starts a new conversation, whether that be through the messenger or in general through different channels. All you have to do is add the let Fin answer action. And these are the parameters that you'll see. The new one you'll see there is ask for more information before handover, and those are those clarifying questions that I was mentioning earlier. So Fin over email is relatively new since we last did this series. So it can also provide instantaneous support to your customers over email. So it's going to look like this, what you see on screen. Like I said earlier, the steps should be almost identical to what we saw for Fin over chat, with the exception of some features. So Fin's not going to introduce itself over email since it's a bit more reactive. And Fin's going to be able to ask for more information before handing off. And that's just the way email's set up. So a resolution is counted when following Fin's last answer in a conversation, the customer either provides a question, for example, and then confirms that the answer is provided by Fin is satisfactory. That's what we call a hard resolution. If they disengage or exit the conversation without requesting further assistance, that's what we call a soft resolution. If a lot of customers are disengaging with Fin, of course, we don't want these conversations to just like pile up in the inbox. This is why we have the auto close inactive conversations toggle here, where you can set it to the time that you desire, basically. And this is just so to keep your inbox very clean and managed, and making sure that we're not spending too much time on conversations where the customer is disengaged. And of course, Fin also has CSAT ratings, so you're going to be able to continue to monitor its performance from all the conversations you see in the AI inbox, and making sure, for example, that you have the opportunity to optimize your conversations where perhaps Fin was given a negative rating. So this is where you're going to configure how the AI agent is going to hand over to your team. So of course, when people click on talk to a person, you're going to be able to control what Fin actions you're going to automate through Fin there. Now, there's a couple of ideas that I've mentioned earlier in terms of what could possibly do once people want to request to talk to a person. You can either assign it to a team or a human agent directly, or you can collect a bit more data so that you're providing the AI agent, the human agent, a lot more context before they begin resolving the issue. And I did mention this earlier, but you can also customize the AI agent experience by audience. So how I explain this concept is more so without audiences, Fin's going to look for a needle in an entire haystack. But with defined audiences, let's say I detect that the end user is from Chicago. I only want to source Chicago content when AI agent is conversating with them. We'll search for the needle now in a very small and specific section of the haystack based on audience targeting. And that's where you're going to be able to create the audiences. So if you go into your settings and then audiences, you're going to be able to control which sources Fin AI agent should be pulling from when it detects these attributes from the end user. So not only is it going to make generating the response a lot quicker, it's going to be a lot more accurate and provide very relevant content to the end user instead of perhaps providing general or inaccurate knowledge. So when all of this is all said and done, you can test Fin directly from the preview in the AI agent tab. And we'll go through this in a demo in a bit. And then, of course, once you are setting Fin in the workflow, you can always filter for all your workflows using Fin. And once the first one is set live, you're ready to activate. So with that being said, I'm going to demo really quickly. But before I do so, I do want to see what our poll results showed. And it looks like everyone here, or most people here, are currently using an AI agent, which kind of surprises me. And I'll talk about this in a bit, but we will be doing another part of this webinar in a couple of weeks where we're going to be talking about more optimization for Fin. So you folks might find that useful. Thank you for that additional vote. Otherwise, what we're going to do today is walk through general setup, but stay tuned because you might see a lot of the new features that we've just launched, including Fin Guidance, which just launched recently. So I'm going to reshare my screen, and thanks to all that voted, I'll keep it open for now. And make sure you keep having those questions come in as well. Okay, so let's go. So this is my test workspace. I want to make sure my screen shared. Perfect. And let's go into the AI tab. So for today's demo, I've had Fin ingest 3 entire websites. And what it does is it's always going to ingest the parent URL and then all the children URL underneath that. Anytime any of these web pages are updated, Fin's also going to be continuously adding them to its repertoire. So it's going to sync every 24 hours. So it's always going to be up to date, no matter how many updates are applied to your website. So I have intercom.com, chess.com, because I've been playing a lot of chess recently, and then a bunch of random different other websites. So this is relatively new in terms of tone of voice. I actually haven't played around with this yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a humorous tone today and then making sure that I want to see how funny it can go. So we're going to go thorough. If ever you need additional settings, all you have to do is click here and it's going to lead you to the settings. And this is where we go to multilingual support. So this is the toggle I was talking about earlier, ladies and gentlemen, real-time translation. So again, right now I only have content in English, but now, for example, we're going to be able to have Fin translate the content from, let's say, our English language help center content that we have here. And I'm going to save these changes and perhaps we can try it in our demo. But back to the Fin tab. This is the simple setup steps that you're going to take for Fin over chat and then Fin over email. Right now, I have Fin activated through this workflow, but I just want to show you basically when you're interacting with Fin over email as well, you'll see, again, very similar settings. And then with the simple setup, it's even going to pick the workflow trigger for you. And all you have to do is set Fin live. But again, if you want more control and customization, always prefer going through the workflow route. And this is what it looks like. So this is my general, I guess, like customer support triage, for example, when people are first logging into my website, right? Right now, I have Fin configured so that if people don't select the reply button and then want to skip directly to Fin, it's going to answer. And we'll go through these settings really quickly. Right now, I have this disabled, but if I were to enable this, for example, I'm going to be able to ask additional questions before it hands it over, and I'll save that really quickly so that we can test this out. Before we do that, actually, I'll show you what the custom answers look like as well and how you can create those. So I guess I created one a long time ago called How Do I Reset My Password? And this is what it's going to look like. It's gonna ask you to ask the question in a bunch of different ways. And the more questions that you have Fin learn, the more it's going to be able to detect different variances of how the customer would ask the question. So this is the machine learning aspect. So anytime it asks something, or the customer is going to ask something remotely similar, Fin's going to be able to detect that and then create an answer. So right now, I've created a simple test answer here. That's the simple message. But I'm also going to automate, for example, tagging and assigning options as well if people select this reply button. From here, you can also launch reusable workflows or other actions available here as well. Let's say I want to send an app. Maybe I want to insert an article about resetting my password, for example. You can automate that as well. And then I forgot to mention this. If a custom answer is used, it's not necessarily going to be counted as an AI resolution as part of your billing, but more so a custom answers, just because it didn't use AI, it used machine learning. Now let's test out this new instance of Fin that we've just created. I'm going to save this first. Let's test it out from the workflow, for example, that I've created. So I have 108 workflows. Like I said, I'm just going to filter for all the ones using Fin and maybe all the live ones using Fin. If ever you need to troubleshoot any issues with your AI agent, apply those two filters. You'll be able to see where and what instances Fin is firing off at the moment and then pinpoint the issue from there. So like I said, I've been playing a lot of chess recently. So I'm going to ask Fin really quickly, what is the Caro-Kann defense? This is an opening move that I'm trying to get better at. So this is really cool. Humorous, super, super long, super detailed. And I think that's why it took a bit longer to buffer this time. This is crazy. And this is what I like most about this, folks, is that it's able to source its references as well. So that people, you won't even necessarily need to link Help Center articles after the fact. People will be able to read additionally based off of what references are provided here. So they can do their own research if they really want. If they're really, really, I guess, like insistent on speaking to a human afterwards, they're going to find a way from here, for example. If I talk here, I just heard a ping go off in my inbox, and voila, it's probably going to be from exactly. So through my workflow as well, what I did is I enabled an AI summary talking about what the customer, what question the customer asked, which is going to provide your human agents with enough context to start replying to your customer immediately. And again, all of your conversations are going to live within this AI inbox if you have it enabled here. So you're going to be able to monitor its performance as it continues answering questions. Cool. That's I want to make sure we have enough time for Q&A as well. So let's see what we got. I'm gonna go through in chronological order, okay? I bet you all have been asking from the beginning, so let's see. Oh, thank you. It looks like Rigby actually answered a couple. If you want to ask any questions, drop them in the Q&A tab, because that's where I'll be addressing them. Okay. I'll take this one from Mike. Can you give the user options when they open the messenger, meaning they can choose to engage with Fin or maybe like speak to an agent? Yeah. Yeah. So sorry, the questions were getting a little bonkers. But yeah, basically what you're gonna do, Mike, is you're going to create reply buttons And you can give users the option right off the bat. And then from there, you're going to be able to build different branches or flows based on the response they selected. So if they want to speak to an AI agent, that's great. You're setting expectations loud and clear. Or if not, what you'll do is make the other route assigned to a human agent or a team, for example. Okay, Mike also asks back-to-back questions, Mike. Wow. We're testing Fin out with a limited number of resolutions in our plan. I would like some help determining saved support hours and money. I can't figure out which report is the best to use to help me with that. I don't know if we're gonna have out of the box reporting for that, Mike. And I can't speak too much about pricing, but basically what you want to think about is let's say like resolution rate and deflection rate, right? How many conversations, like what's the conversation volume that a typical human agent can handle within an hour compared to Fin? CSAT ratings as well. And I think that's really going to help you present like an ROI summary of how the Fin AI agent is performing. That's where I would start in terms of saved support hours. I'm sorry, the previous question was from Sabrina. If you can choose, let's give the user options, for example, if they open the messenger. Okay, this one's from Nathaniel. What would be the best way to format a snippet? Is there a creation limit for custom answers? There is a limit on custom answers. It's an addition to your plan. So I can't comment how many custom answers you get. That's going to be based off of, I don't know, like the type of billing you select. The best way to format a snippet is, again, rich formatting, full sentences, and perhaps even natural language to instruct Fin on what to do. Can we adjust the time, the close time, stale time before Fin considers a conversation solved? Yes. Sorry, all these questions are making me prompt. I'm going to share my screen again, just to go through some of this together. So from within the workflow, you're going to be able to determine how long Fin should wait before marking a conversation as resolved. As you'll see here, all you have to do is go to your Fin settings, for example. And this is the toggle for auto closing abandoned conversations. And then you also have additional toggles here, Nathaniel. So let's say you want to close the conversation, and then you can select from here, for example, and then a closing message as well. So you have Fin ask for a CSAT rating and maybe just like add a message like, all right, we're going to close out this conversation just because we haven't heard back from you in 3 minutes. I didn't really get that very generous with my customers. While I'm here, I did want to show off a new guidance beta that we'll be talking about in the next webinar as well. So folks, this is really exciting. This beta just launched a couple of days ago. And what it is basically is you're going to be able to give Fin guidance using natural language. So you'll see some examples here for handover and escalation or context and clarification. So using natural language like this, for example, if a customer asks about the Fin webinar, please hand over and escalate to Tim. It's going to be able to accept instructions like this right now in plain English or whatever language, and then be able to follow through with follow-up actions, which I think is really, really cool. So I haven't had the chance to test this out yet, but I'll make sure to do that before the next webinar. So I'll make sure to link that here as well, actually, for folks. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to show that to answer Nathaniel's question. Or sorry, that was Gonzalo's question. Brian asked, do you have stats around Fin CSAT versus live agent CSAT? Like not handy right now. It's really going to depend. The Fin CSAT's really going to depend on how strong your content is, and then any gaps that you have in there as well. It's going to vary by like industry as well, so it's a kind of a hard question to answer. We also have a new feature now where Fin's going to be able to use AI to generate CSAT if customer is disengaged, and that's going to be based off of, I guess, the conversation that they had and what it thinks the CSAT's going to be. So that's going to be an additional toggle that you'll be able to use as well. So that's a feature that's coming soon. I actually think that Fin CSAT tends to be a bit more harsh because people on the other end are very, very, how should I put this, like particular with how an AI should respond versus like with a human, they understand empathy a lot more and they're a lot more generous with their ratings. So I'll say that like I've noticed that in the past. Is it possible to use Fin out of the working hours setup on Intercom? That's a question from Jeremy. And yes, actually, it's a very popular use case for Fin right now. Let's say when all of your agents are offline, they're sleeping, they're on holiday, for example. You can set up a workflow that only fires off when it is outside of office hours. So that could be a way to support your customers that are in different time zones or are outside of office hours. Rachel, will Fin be able to reply to properly specific questions and not just general questions? Fin's really good at asking clarifying questions. So if it's just a general question, it's going to ask for clarifying questions, especially if it's a question not relevant to the knowledge in your knowledge base. So it's not like ChatGPT. So if we ask Fin, for example, a question about checkers, I think it would just ask additional questions just to make sure that it's on the right track. Otherwise, it's simply going to try to hand off to a human agent if it's unable to address the question. Does the cost of Fin also include the agent copilot to assist with answering tickets? Great question, Gonzalo. That's going to be a separate feature. The good news about Copilot, though, it is free for up to 10 questions per rep at the given moment. So you can check it out, but it's going to be an additional cost, and that's going to be on a per seat basis. Yes. I would touch on Copilot. It's not really the subject of today's webinar, but you already have access to test it out. And for any folks wondering, Fin AI Agent is what we call our external facing AI tool. AI Copilot is more so internal facing. So instead of wheeling your chair over to ask a coworker a question, you can ask Fin directly, for example, a Copilot. So for example, let's say one of you asked me a very complicated question about Fin. Instead of panicking live on the webinar, what I'm going to do is pull up Copilot and ask, how much do custom answers or how much does Copilot cost? And so we typically have that open on a webinar. I haven't been monitoring the chat as I've been going through the deck, of course, but I hope you all have been behaving. Yeah. I don't know. Please let me know in the chat if there are any additional features you want to go through in the workspace together, or even within Intercom. We can definitely take a look together using my test workspace. So Amber asks, is Fin using ChatGPT modules? We used to. We've migrated. We've tested a bunch of LLMs recently, and actually we've migrated over to a new model that we've been using. So our Fin AI agent is actually our own patented technology, but our models now actually use Anthropic's Claude model in order to generate our answers. We found that there was a lot more accuracy and nuance. And so we've migrated from GPT over to Anthropic's Claude. I might take this opportunity to go through some new features that we have coming up for Fin as well. So I love referring to this page. I wonder if I've linked it on the side. Forgive me if I haven't. But Fin 2 is basically all of the new features that we're going to be shipping in 2024 and 2025. People keep asking me if Fin 2 is an additional charge. No, you already have access to Fin 2. It's simply the new name that we have for it, basically. And all these features are not extra. They are going to be included. We're adding them on top of their existing features. And I want to walk you through some of the features that I'm really excited for. One of them is called AI category detection. So what it's going to do is automatically assign conversation attributes to a conversation based off of the customer's responses. A good example of this is something that we've already done within Intercom, where we have 3 settings, for example, for a conversation topic, which is positive, neutral, or negative. So if a customer is really irate or angry at us, or singing high praise, Finn's going to be able to detect that and then apply that attribute to a conversation as well. So sometimes I'll get conversations assigned to me, and already I know that I'm in for a treat with like a very difficult customer if I see like a negative attribute's been applied to it. Of course, this isn't perfect, but basically you're using, again, natural language to describe when Finn should apply a specific attribute to a conversation. So we used it more so for sentiment detection. This one could mostly just be for topic detection and then applied as well. And again, this is to help out, let's say, handover based on different attributes or categories it's able to detect. So really cool feature there. Also, I already talked about Fin guidance, and then content targeting is really cool as well. So we talked about this briefly with our Fin audiences, but here's just a better example of when you would use that. So in terms of different conversation topics or different sources, for example, you're going to be able to control, let's say, detect which audience it is and then which content you should really gear it towards. I'll go through that really quickly as well. Again, these are new features that we have. So we have content suggestions, and then content gaps as well. So this is these are 2 things we're going to talk about with the next webinar on optimization in terms of how you can continue to refine your knowledge content. I did want to show you as well what it looks like from the Knowledge Hub, because this is still like relatively new. But this is just a list of all of my knowledge content that I've had Finn ingest at the moment, categorized into very loose folders. It's not that organized at the moment, but what I really like is that it's listed in column format like this. And then you can always add, let's say, additional columns here for organization. But if you wanted to see in a quick, simple way, like which data is available for AI agent or Copilot or Help Center, these 3 columns really help. So let's go to chess.com real quick. And you'll see all 3,000 child web pages I've had it ingest. And so, for example, let's say I don't want AI agent to pull from this one. You're going to be able to do that as well. And these are the Help Center articles that I have ingested in my workspace at the moment. So I just put like some quick, I don't know, Instant Pot recipes in here that Fin AI agent is not pulling from at the moment. But let's say I do want it to start pulling from here, for example. I guess it's not published yet. That's why. But for example, let's say I want to keep this recipe a little secret. I want to make sure that Finn doesn't pull from this. What you can do is modify the audience for each individual article to make sure, for example, I don't know, only paying users can see this great braised lamb shank recipe in a Finn AI generated answer. Otherwise, Finn's going to be able only to pull from sources and articles that it's authenticated to. So you don't need to worry about inaccurate answers. Again, you have a lot of control over what knowledge sources you have Finn pull from. The mobile app, yes. You know, there are a lot of complications that come with mobile SDKs. So I'm maybe we'll add that as like a potential webinar topic in the future, Candice. That's just not going to be handled by me. It's going to be perhaps handled by one of our support agents that are more geared towards like mobile SDKs. So thank you for joining if you're on your laptop. Can we upload a spreadsheet as a resource? Rachel asks. I wouldn't. So there are a couple sources that Fin is not great at reading yet, which is images. So you're gonna want to make sure that you provide I don't know, accompanying captions for any images as well. And spreadsheets, for example, you're not gonna be able, like customers won't be able to ask Fin to look up cell D2, for example, and then give a response. What it can do, however, is use API actions to do complete specific actions. And I'll show you what that looks like real quick. And just to answer your question, Rachel, like not necessarily, I wouldn't recommend it, but I'll show you maybe some alternatives that Fin's able to do. So this is also pretty new, but in terms of some example actions that Fin's going to be able to take, I'll show you some quick templates that we have available. It works really well with these little integrations that we have. For example, I want to show some good examples of like custom actions it's able to take. So I'm going to show you here instead. So it uses API, and depending on what integrations you have available. So this is what I was looking for. If you have Stripe or Shopify, for example, using API endpoints, Fin's going to be able to pull, let's say, order information, subscription info, and be able to either read data and also push or pull data as well. So instead of a spreadsheet, I would look to viable alternatives, perhaps that have like API endpoints, and then have Fin pull from there. So it's going to be able to, let's say, pull account information when a customer asks for it. Usually those actions right now are better suited towards like human agents, but again, these are like new possibilities that are available through these Fin custom actions that we've unlocked recently. How does Fin know whether they are paying users? Oh, great question, Mike. It depends on what data attributes you have currently living within Intercom. If you have a powerful, let's say, data integration with the warehouse, like your CRM, for example, or through a Segment or Stitch, if you have this information loaded in a CRM of any sort and have it loaded into Intercom, you're going to be able to use that as attributes in your workflows. So let's say if I'm setting up a target audience and I only want paid users to interact with that specific instance, you can either use branching logic or I guess like audience rules in order to look at user attributes to see who's going to be able to even see that instance of Fin, or who's even going to be able to interact with a specific subset of knowledge content that Fin's ingested. I've been doing a lot of talking and a lot of hydrating, so this is going to be my time to take a sip real quick. I'll share the poll one last time. It seems like a large majority of you have used an AI engine pass, but for the people that haven't, just know that you do have access to a 14-day trial. Okay, you can reach out to your relationship manager afterwards if you're interested in starting that. What I would, I guess, provide as final words of wisdom is that hopefully with the knowledge that you've gained from this webinar, making sure that you make the most of those 14 days. So like even doing setup before you launch your trial, just to make sure that you're actually gaining good results, a good ROI, like someone else mentioned earlier, in order to present to your leadership with like enough conversation volume to say that like, okay, look, the AI agent worked. These are the results. Here's the data to back that up. This is why we think we should implement that. And you're going to be able to pay, let's say, based on the amount of resolutions that you anticipate having as well. So if you have a high volume, of course, you can buy a lot more resolutions. If you only want Fin to operate, let's say, outside of office hours, you can do that as well. I want to also take this time to plug our next session on fin optimization as well. That's when we're going to be going into a lot more advanced topics in terms of like, okay, you've already launched Fin. How can you continue to refine and optimize its performance to best suit your customers? And that's when I'm really going to dive into a lot of like the new features as well, and as well a lot of like the reporting that comes with it, and a lot of, let's say, different places you can check to make sure that like and best practices to make sure that your knowledge content is up to date, how to identify like gaps in your knowledge content, and then how to mediate those gaps. So people always ask like, what happens when Fin provides a bad answer? Can we tell it, oh, bad AI, you did a bad answer? That's not necessarily how we teach it. um, it's again, it's only as good as the knowledge content you provide to it. So you'll have to just make sure you modify, let's say, the knowledge content where it pulled the bad answer from, and then fixing the verbiage there to making sure that it's able to provide a more refined answer to your customers. And with that, I will call our webinar to close. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Yeah, Jeremy, I didn't want to touch on it too much, especially for newer folks joining today. We will go into a lot more of the Fin 2 features next week. I just really want to give people a good taster of what came with Fin 2. But yeah, does Fin pull from historical conversations? Okay, one last question from Lisa. Yes, it can go back to as much as 3 months in terms of historical conversations, just to make sure it's not pulling like outdated conversations. So only 3 months as a maximum. But thank you all for taking the time to come out today. I really appreciate you asking all your questions and being so engaged. Please register for the next webinar on March 5th. We'll be going into a lot more advanced topics, and then making sure that, I don't know, you've made the most of that trial. So yeah, good luck with any trials that you start. Reach out if you have any questions. Before I let you go, you can always reach out through the messenger to get in touch with myself and Rigby and our team. So thank you, and everyone have a great day. Bye.